I'm Red Pomodoro, and this is GNBC News for the morning of May 30th, 1986. The third day of hostilities between NATO and Warsaw Pact forces has come to a close, but fierce fighting continues all along the IGB. Massive civilian evacuations continue all along the border among near constant bomb and rocket attacks in some cities. Thousands of troops have had leaves canceled and are being required to return to Germany as soon as possible. Reports are that an additional 36,000 troops have been moved into West Germany to bolster the front lines. A massive force of NATO tank units has continued to push into East Germany near the towns of Magdeburg and Stendal. Near Magdeburg, near continuous tank cannon fire can be heard for miles around. While NATO forces are reported to have an overwhelming numeric advantage in this region, little forward progress has been made. Immediately after crossing the inter-German border, NATO forces have been engaged with a staunch resistance of Warsaw Pact tanks, halting all forward progress. The past 2 days have been marked by tanks trading fire and generally holding their positions. Again, Warsaw Pact tanks have been, so far, able to stop any major advances deeper into East Germany. In the skies above, what has been one of the largest air battles since the Second World War has erupted, as NATO planes have begun striking Soviet targets all over East Germany. Both NATO and Soviet fighter aircraft have remained airborne nearly continuously. There are reports of air-to-air action between the two sides. At least one NATO aircraft was shot down. Fortunately, we have reports that the pilot was able to evade capture and was rescued later by search and rescue personnel. It is unknown how many, if any, aircraft have been lost on the Soviet side. In an escalation of hostilities along the IGB, Soviet missiles have attacked 3 NATO air bases this morning in Nurvanich, Laarbruch, Germany, and 20 Air Base in the Netherlands. Nurvanich is reporting heavy damage and many casualties from the attacks, and a significant reduction in combat capability. From damaged runways to destroyed aircraft and equipment, this is a heavy blow to NATO air power in the theater. Twente and Laarbruch fared better, but still sustained moderate damage in the attacks. These mark some of the first Soviet offensive attacks outside of the East German borders. Reports indicate the attacks came as a complete surprise to NATO commanders, revealing a Soviet missile capability in the region that was previously unknown. One commander, in his exasperation, was overheard by his troops saying, "They can do this?" in reaction to the attack. In West Berlin today, a temporary cessation of hostilities has been declared as a humanitarian gesture to give authorities time to search for survivors, tend to the wounded, and for civilians to get to safety. Soviet commanders have vowed that in spite of the day's ceasefire, that, quote, "the beautiful capital of a united Germany will be made whole once again." A Soviet rocket attack damaged several apartment buildings on Thursday. While there are no word yet on any survivors, or any deaths rather, several people are reported missing, and rescuers are working to search the rubble for survivors. Soviet tank divisions have continued to assault the city, but NATO defenders have, so far, been able to hold them back. However, it is unknown how much longer these forces can withstand these attacks, as there is no clear route for NATO resupply efforts to reach the city as of this morning. In Western Europe, supply lines are stretched thin as a shortage of truck drivers hampers NATO efforts to deliver essential weapons and supplies to forward bases and combat troops. One NATO logistics commander was quoted as saying that he was proud of his entire team, but more drivers are desperately needed. NATO leaders are calling for accelerated truck driving training programs to help alleviate the shortages in the near future. A top Soviet commander is reported dead after falling from a window yesterday. A new officer, known only as Metterlach, is reported to be taking command. Very little information is known about Metterlach, but he is suspected to be the commander behind that rocket attack in West Berlin on Thursday. And finally, word has come in that a U.S. senator under investigation for spying for the USSR boarded a private jet and disappeared. So far, That senator is nowhere to be found. We will bring you more on this and other stories tomorrow night here on GNBC News. As always, thanks for watching.